And just like that, I have hit start streaming. So hopefully, hopefully that is running. Now, I have the great benefit of having desktop audio disabled in OBS, and so I can check if I. Okay, yeah, I am audible, at least from the preview, which didn't cause an echo on stream. That's how professional of a streamer I've suddenly become in my absence for a while. And so, I'm just gonna be drawing because I would have been drawing anyway, and I figured, you know what? Why not babble on about things that are potentially not very important, or maybe are. I don't know. I can hear, you know, awesome. So, what am I gonna talk about? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I've just basically from time to time there's a certain feeling of just going absolutely mental, and in that feeling I usually wanna talk, and I usually talk to myself. But you know what? Why not in a moment, you know? Well, I go to the James. Is that like a convenience store? Absolutely not well versed in whatever James could be, unless James is literally just a guy, in which case. Anyway, might there might be a thought that the feeling is absolute doom appeal as of recent. Hey, the James, the Jim. Oh, okay, I get it. Didn't have to send the second message. I got it after the first. Anyway, absolute doom appeal. How much I can relate, it's actually ridiculous. I just can't, dude. It's I feel like I'm going through a constant state of existential crisis, one after the other. While at the same time also not feeling like any of it is real. It's a bit hard to explain, but the attitude I have towards it is I know nothing. It's basically what it kind of comes down to. It's like I'm realizing, what the hell do I actually even know about life? And it turns out, well, maybe less than I initially imagined. But on the other hand, I am smarter than I used to be about it. So there's something to be found. And it's like there's also a weird bouncing between you know, thought it makes sense to think about all of this, and on the other hand it makes absolutely no sense to think about these things. How are you ever gonna achieve a conclusion on something that, you know, thousands of people have struggled with and thought about, and we still don't have like one definitive answer? I'm seemingly being shown I know nothing. It's not a fun feeling. Certainly. It's humbling in a certain way, but then you realize it's being humbled is, you know, it's one thing when it's something inconsequential, major, like mostly inconsequential. It's like, oh, your art, what you are drawing is not quite as good as you might think it is. It's like, okay, that's humbling, but you know, the consequences of being humbled are not exactly, oh well, now prepare to starve for a couple months from now. It's instead something like, oh, well, you have something to improve on. I find it hard to put into words, honestly. It's a constant sense of something is missing, certainly. I have a constant feeling of something. I am behind on everything. That's the short version. Hello. Welcome to the drawing stream where I talk about going absolutely insane. Don't worry, no, I've started the stream with the pretty much explicit intention of talking about how I'm going insane, so So you are absolutely welcome to also mention how you are also going insane, and we can all spend a little while going insane together. It's weird. You know, if nothing else, at least talking about it brings some kind of catharsis, maybe kind of feeling. Like I'm kind of laughing in spite of myself. I don't know why. It's like maybe it's a bit of the, you know, the clown pill, to call it that, but like the like the there's something weird about it where, you know, you embrace something not making sense or there not being a goal or target, and it suddenly seems very, in a weird way, I don't know, energizing, re-energizing, something like that. Weird feeling, frankly. It feels almost out of place, but you know, it's there. So, like, what am I gonna do? Tell myself I'm not feeling a certain way? That's that's not really. I mean, I could, but that seems a little bit counterproductive. Wife says hello. There we go. You see, this chat is actually a social experience. There's now two people we can officially say that the chat has social qualities to it. You know. All right. This thing is it any good? Perhaps. So like, hello to the wife. There you go. You know. What was that topic? Oh yeah, getting lost in abstraction is part of the thinking I've been doing on this. Like with regards to this, it's getting lost in abstraction is something I'm definitely prone to, and I think plenty of people are, judging by you know, how many beautiful internet theories of everything, essentially. You know, I have found the perfect solution to every problem everyone's having, and if you guys just do this and follow my advice. I'm not even talking about grifters, because, you know, grifters, the solution from grifters is just, you know, buy whatever I am currently selling to solve all of your problems. But in the other regard, it's like, oh, I have the perfect system, you know, to solve all societal problems if we only do this. And I see a problem like that is often kind of bordering on projection, or perhaps a too narrow viewpoint, where the only real solution, universal solution, perhaps, is is a solution of, well, you'll have to figure out your own solution. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. So to bring up the inevitable coding analogy, it's like in software, I've gone through a path that goes a little something like this. It's like, it started as, I know nothing about this. Seemingly the only people with any concrete solutions are grifters, or those who need to touch grass. Well, the grifters, as I said, right, the concrete solution is to buy whatever product they are selling, but that solution is not very that solution doesn't seem very conducive to anything really positive, aside from, well, I suppose that from the perspective of the grifter is very positive. But what I was saying about the kind of journey I've been going on with software engineering and just, you know, my job essentially is, 'cause that's what I do. What I've been going through with that is a journey from, I know nothing about this subject, and I'm just barely learning, and there's like, oh, there's these tools, people do it this way, okay, I'm gonna do it this way as well. And gradually over time, as I've gotten better at putting stuff together and understanding why it works the way it does and how it works, you know, and why the people who set it up like that, why did they do it, what problems were they solving. I've started to go into trying to figure out sort of perfect solutions, for lack of a better term. So, you know, it's like, okay, how can I solve this particular problem Baby woke up. Oh no, F. All right. Well, it's nice for you to pop. Have fun with the baby, I suppose. So, oh no, I need to get out of the habit of reading chat in the middle of sentences. I say that every time I read a message, and I just completely derail myself. Going to trying to invent a perfect system for whatever problem, whatever really particular problem I am currently solving. It's like, oh, I am currently making something like this. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and figure out a solution that's not only going to solve this, but it's also going to solve the next 5 problems of this kind that I may encounter. Which is a mindset that is useful in a certain way, but it's also in many ways completely counterproductive in terms of allocation of resources and especially allocation of time, because this approach demands ridiculous amounts of time and knowledge that you can't possibly have, because you only gain it after you've made the first version and you use it and you find out all the flaws in it. A good solution implemented violently is better than a perfect solution implemented in a month. Yeah, pretty much. There's a great hubris imagine perfect solution. Solutions, I don't even know if it's necessarily hubris. It's certainly people, it's maybe like not all people who try to find perfect solutions are doing it because of hubris, I think, but it certainly applies that people who have a lot of hubris would look for a perfect solution because, well, I am of course the greatest mind to have ever graced this planet, and therefore, the solution I invent to solve a problem has to be the best, right? Because especially if it then works, right? If it works one time, then surely, I've thought of it, it worked this time, so therefore it is the perfect solution. And I can now kind of use it forever. And what I've over time kind of realized is that the better way to approach problems in programming, and I feel it kind of extrapolates to plenty of other places in life, is you need a solid foundation for sure. So make sure whatever you are building has a solid foundation so that you don't have to redo all of it very soon, right? Ensure you are understanding of the domain in which you are in which you are operating. Ensure you understand that domain to a level where you won't be, very shocked by something like, I don't know, I'm building a house and I'm suddenly shocked I need a roof, like something like that, right? Understand that in the domain you are trying to do something in, there's certain elements and certain requirements and certain necessities that are going to be there and are important, and you have to think about them ahead of time, or otherwise you are in for a lot of probably very painful and expensive changes very soon down the line, as soon as you basically start using something of that which you are creating. And well, you when you use it, you are going to notice flaws, because the flaws are going to start annoying you, right? It's like emotions are very often a pretty good determinant for whether a solution is good or not. They are not always, and there's plenty of times where you will have to, in a way, discard what you are feeling in favor of a more rational analysis. But then it's also, your emotions are also a good sign of what's going on. So if something feels horrible to do over and over again, for example, then it probably isn't very good. Probably. It could also be that your conscience is absolutely warped, but that's another thing to figure out. Like, if you are fairly certain that your consciousness is not warped, then, and you are experiencing negative feelings, it's like, well, what is going on, right? And it's not like it's always the start point or maybe input into a process that is supposed to lead to figuring it out. So it's like, once again, it's not like, the perfect solution is just listen to your heart, bro. It's like, no, do listen to your heart, sure, but, don't turn your brain off while doing so. It seems to be an important qualification that I think is often missing. And it's so looking for that perfect solution is usually what it has led me to is basically I spend a lot of time building an abstraction that can do a lot, right? It can handle plenty, but then it turns out listen to your heart. Yeah, no, it's good advice. No, it's good advice. I don't disagree with the idea of listening to your heart, but I am not saying, I think that there's a second part to it. It's like the part is, I don't know where you are going. Maybe I am phrasing it wrong. Okay, is this like song lyrics? Am I being trolled? I am now entirely unsure. It's gotta be song lyrics, right? I've trolled myself once again. I am absolutely none the wiser when it comes to existing on the internet still. And I don't know if that's ever gonna change. Right. Okay, so with regards to all of that, so what I was saying about software is it leads. I've noticed it leads me down the road. It's a classic electronic song, all right. Leads me down the road of it ultimately. It's like whatever I do with any of it, it does come back and come down to very fundamental questions of like, what's the point, what's the purpose, why am I doing it? It's like, it's a very short road once you ask the question of, well, why am I doing X? It's a very short road to drilling down to the very fundamental questions of life, I found. It's like, and if you don't shy away from it, because you could really stop at any point. You could just arbitrarily say, well, I'd like to do it just because I'd like to do it. But I'm not quite satisfied with that approach. Which is, I am not sure, if once again the distinction between autism and adulthood perhaps. Well, it's like, I'd really like to have answers to certain questions, because it all becomes very hollow if those answers. Questioning your motives is indeed mission critical. It's like, what's the, it just really comes down to the question of, what's the point? Like, if I don't know why I'm doing this, like, surely there's a problem. Because everything kind of flows from, like, if you have an intention, if you have an intent for doing something, then logically plenty of things flow from the intention you have. It like makes it kind of having the goal, having the purpose, having the idea behind it is kind of what orients all other choices down the line. All other choices are made based on what is important in the first place, because it is all in service to what's important in the first place. So you can't really have it. Any other way. It's like, what even got me started on this tangent? It's perhaps, I don't know. The part of the feeling of being late to this stuff is, I often catch myself thinking, I'm like, surely, like, everybody's figured this out, and I'm just, left behind on it and wondering what the hell went wrong for me to be even. Why am I even thinking about all of this? isn't it something that should be kind of pre-figured out, or like already gotten at the point in life where I'm at? It's weird. For lack of a better term, but that also might speak to, you know, if there's a general crisis of adulthood, and if these are questions that, you know, you have to ask yourself before you become a proper adult, or maybe those are the questions you ask as you become a proper adult, then maybe, you know, it's just a matter of going somewhere where really nobody I've met really has gone before and talked about it. I'm here to know. Hello. Welcome to the stream where I, you know, ramble about, you know, could call it pretentious, but I don't know. I'm not pretending, so I am throwing stuff out and saying what sticks, basically. I'm late to all of this compared to what? It's a good question. And it's one I keep asking myself. It's like, compared to, I think perhaps compared to you know, to family members, essentially, especially to my dad. It's gotta be. It's like I arrived at the end. Oh boy, this is not the end at all. I am just getting started. There's plenty of these questions that are just rolling around in my head, and I desperately am trying to figure out some answers. So, like, you know, I'm basically poking at any thought that comes into my head. I want to poke at and figure out if it leads to something down the line. It's like, late compared to what? It's like, maybe it's late even compared to my own expectations. It's like I kind of expect myself to do certain things, which is, maybe it's comes down to just misguided expectations that I kind of have to drill into my head as an understanding. It's like, listen, buddy, you perhaps have too high standards for your own good for certain things. It's like, maybe, you know, it's hard to say for me, well, maybe because I do have those high standards, but I find that phrase to be something I'm still ahead of, like I still haven't grappled with properly yet. It's like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe the constant pushing of myself to do things I am experiencing is, maybe there's something to taking a step back and realizing it's like, okay, but you are doing a bunch of things. It's like, it's not like I'm, you know, sitting on my ass doing nothing all day. That is just not an accurate description of what I'm doing with my life. So, you know, if that's the case, then surely it's not a point of being a massive doomer about it. But then, you know, there comes the standards kind of come in a way where I can't really help but notice certain things. Pete says both over and undercooked billions must die. What a truer words have never been spoken. I think we should ban ovens, personally. The world government should just come together to just ban ovens. I think they were a net negative to humanity. So, about standards is, it's a good example for this is drawing, because with drawing, you know, I've trained my eye faster than I've trained my hand. And so, fairly fast, I've gotten to a point where what I've been drawing was very unsatisfying, because, well, I've gotten better at spotting mistakes than I was at drawing, so I couldn't exactly satisfy myself with the quality I was producing. And the only real answer was to, you know, up the answer. Well, the only real answer. The answer I kind of had to it was just to keep going until I've arrived currently at the point where some of the stuff I do is actually satisfying to me, to the standards that I have. It's like it doesn't mean I don't see flaws because, well, it's kind of inevitable, but there's a certain feeling, perhaps, or certain standard I do have in my head that I am capable of fulfilling within certain styles. So, like, for example, the way I do line work I've gotten it to the point where I'm quite happy with the way I do it. It's like I can do something, I can doodle something, and I like the way it looks. I like how it's like what it conveys. I just like it, right? And that's something that it's been a long time to get to this point, but I certainly haven't lowered the standards. So like it's not that I've dropped the idea of what I think is good to the level I was at, rather because I had the standards and I had the feeling of what is good and what isn't good and what needs to be fixed, that has pushed my skills of drawing to the point where I am closer to actually satisfying those standards. And I'm thinking kind of similar in the realm of like in the realm of general life things. I'm thinking kind of similarly. I don't necessarily want to lower my standards. It's like I think standards, having high standards is essentially striving for perfection, right? It ensures you never stagnate because you will never reach perfection, and therefore you won't land yourself at a point where you claim it's like, oh yeah, it's over, right? There's nothing more to be done. I've achieved everything there was to be done. It's like with a goal, it's kind of, you have to place a goal that you has to be past. In a certain way, the goal you set, like the ultimate goal, seems like it has to be impossible to achieve in a way. It's like impossible to achieve, but you can strive towards it endlessly. So you never kind of run out of juice. That's pushing you forward. I'm sure there's been philosophers who've already talked about this. Probably. Ovens can't cook anything properly, especially in large quantities. You guys even have ovens? Is that I was under the distinct impression that in America you heat everything in the microwave. Now, I am legally obliged to say that was a joke. I do not actually believe it, but I think there's plenty of. How much Peterson have you watched? I haven't watched Peterson in probably 3 years, or like 2 or 3 years. But I certainly have. I've certainly had listened to my fair share of Peterson. So if you hear influences, that's absolutely possible, and even very likely. I would say. Microwave what? Microwave whatever. Microwave everything. I've seen people make tea by microwaving water. It's like, his whole shtick is God being a perfect standard. Well, I think that's fairly in line with Christianity. Seems to be. It's like, we strive to be like Jesus, and Jesus is perfect, which we can't be, but we strive. It's a microwave oven. You what? I'm confused. Don't you call it a microwave? Do you really call it a microwave oven? Or are you just being a pedantic fuck? Explain yourself. I don't believe it. I don't believe you would just call it a microwave oven. We didn't have ovens. God damn it, dude. Okay. I'll have to admit defeat on this one. Okay. You do indeed have ovens because you have microwave ovens. It makes sense. Wait, so Actual question though. Actual question though. If when you were talking about having your pizza in the oven, were you talking about the microwave? This is my question, because that would seem to confirm my theory in the first place. Do tell. Do tell. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why just the idea of going live and just rambling about this has basically turned me from lying into the on the floor having a weird kind of existential crisis to being somewhat energetic about it, and even could say in good uh you know in good spirits perhaps. I've I don't bloody know how that happened, but here we are. I suppose. Um, it was in a gas oven. This brand is trash, and I will not buy again. You guys are buying ovens. Well, you have to consider, right? In the welcome to the experience of community. Well, you know what? Maybe there is something to it. Of course, I wouldn't know. I'm new. Also, with regards to ovens, you have to keep in mind. That we Europos don't like the idea of you buying a second gas oven is bizarre. It's like I don't know. It's like we've had the same one for ages. So why would you buy a new gas oven? It registers as weird in my brain as the idea. You know what? There's something. Maybe the feeling that's missing is a feeling of certain kind of belonging that comes from community that I'm just lacking. It's like there's people to share stuff with and to talk about with. It's like it's hard to find people that can do that at a satisfactory level of depth that is conducive to this experience, because this is not at all solved by exchanging platitudes and making small talk with random assholes. It's really not the same. You gotta have someone who's actually willing to kind of engage with the idea. It's why the autism channels have been the autism channel has been a blessing. It's just having someone you can toss things at, and then you see that someone has engaged with the idea, has committed time to like, I share something and I see that people have actually watched it and are responding to it and have ideas with regards to it that I can then kind of consider myself, or maybe an angle I didn't see. It's like, that's great. The autism channel, well, all of them, but specifically the one I started for pretty much this express purpose, the on topic autism channel, which has started because, well, it has started because I just wanted to talk about something I was autistic about, and and if we apply the kind of modern definition of autism correction, it's like is just something I'm autistic about equals something I find important. I think is what it comes down to. It's like I have thoughts about this, and I'd like to hear if other people also have thoughts about this. It's fundamental, and I would also not like the discussion to deteriorate to the point of discussing what even is. Autism is a choice I make every day. You know what? I don't feel like that. I feel like with regards to being absolutely autistic about things, I don't feel like I have a choice in it at all. I just there's two wolves inside of me, and they are both autistic. It's just there's no other way about it. It's like you know, if there's something I think, but what is choice? Indeed, what even is choice? Do we even really have free will? Like, maybe maybe I'd like to presuppose that we do, because otherwise there's no point in doing anything. It seems that way anyway. It's like, why would, if you don't have any choice in any matter, it's like, why would you do anything? It's a, I think a big part of demoralization is exactly from this, right? It's like you get people who, you know, choice is an illusion, all there is what is good, and how do we know it? Well, perhaps. I think there's a lot more. I actually, maybe there's, if you make a fundamental choice of committing yourself to truth in some way or the other, then, and if you stay consistent on that, it kind of arranges your life in a way that it might feel like you don't have a choice anymore, because certain things, like, well, I'm not gonna do that because it's counterproductive to the, you know, to what I consider to be true and good. While if you have, so it feels in the moment as if you've kind of sacrificed, you are sacrificing your freedom. It's like, well, I can't do it, so just there's a I am blocked from doing it almost by myself internally. But then if you haven't made the choice, and you know, you are kind of living life, well, perhaps on autopilot, or maybe you know, you are kind of living in the gray zone where you are not really committing to anything, not staying consistent, then you have the freedom in the moment, right? You can choose whatever fits you, because you are not, you are not bound by the initial choice and the initial commitment to the truth. It's kind of what I would maybe place it as. And you become a slave to righteousness. Kind of, yeah. I think that's basically the idea I'm getting at. It's like, I think I could even blame my parents for this. It's like, what have you done? You've made me think about things, and you've made me you've installed a moral compass in me. How dare you? But also, what even is good, man? Yeah, just I mean, it's a valid question if you've discarded. If you've discarded a source of good, well, if you've discarded God as source of good, then it's the question of what is the other source of good is still up for grabs, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, if you don't like thinking, America has created a solution for that too. It seems like it's a pretty decent export. Oh, Xanax. Okay. Well, I know that what is good is a reference to Dora. That's one of the reasons I actually started the On Topic Autism channel, because I experienced the Dora. It seemed to be it seemed to be somewhat counterproductive. So you know, what even is good? So it's still with, I've tried to, with regards to the source of alternative source of value that isn't God. I've tried going through the Ayn Rand, I think is what you pronounce her name as, and don't I can't find, like, I don't see the source of value in that still. It's I don't think I've maybe would have to talk to someone who actually subscribes to the philosophy. I think I've typed this before, but Ayn Rand, okay, or Ein, like Einstein. I might be pronouncing Einstein the German way, but Ayn Rand, is that correct? Question mark. Maybe. Anyway, maybe what I'd have to do is I'd have to the German way. Yeah, okay. maybe what I'd have to do is I'd maybe have to talk to someone who subscribes to the philosophy, because to me, if your entire thing is based around selfishness, then um surely there's nothing worth dying for. It's like I can't like I can't resolve I can't resolve this issue, which I see as a very simple and fundamental for that. It's like if your whole the whole way you seem to order the world, because sorry, because it seems like she's that's what I got from the websites I've visited. Like, I've not read all of her work, so I might be wrong on that. But if that's how it's set up, it's like, be, logically consistent and being selfish, then that leads to all of these other things in terms of how to arrange your relationships, how to arrange society, stuff like that. Then I think it very quickly comes to the question of well, is like, how do you justify dying for something? Because it's I think not only very natural but also very good, the idea that you would lay down your life, for example, in defense of your family, of your property, perhaps in defense of some values even greater than that in terms of scale, right? And well, you haven't read all 40,000 pages of anyone's books. How do you ever expect to get it? Well, I don't know if I'm expecting to get it, but I would think this is, if it's presented as an alternative source of values, then I'd expect these questions to be kind of the primary focus of like, even like, if you want to present your ideology, then it makes, I feel like it makes a lot of sense to kind of front load what even, like, where do values even come from in this philosophy. So because otherwise, and this might be, I don't know how accurate this is, but otherwise it might well be that what you are doing is you have moral kind of assumptions and moral presuppositions that come from Christianity, or maybe even some of them before Christianity, or from whatever other belief you've had already, because you were born into a culture that was shaped by these values. And then what you do is you replace plenty of mechanisms, and you formulate a way to organize, but you kind of don't notice that you've presupposed the values that you are actually it presupposes the values that you've actually used to build your philosophy. Forgive me, why is understanding Ayn Rand necessary? These days I'm so disinterested with understanding other people's ideology. I'm much more interested in plumbing the depths of my own in the world of I don't. That is three vowels. In the world of ois. Don't listen to Hunter. He didn't even finish chapter 1. Destroyed. It's a typo. Orts. Okay, yeah. You know what? I feel like I'm somewhere similar, but I do still value the perspective of someone else, because it can show me where I have holes in my thinking. So it's with regards to, for example, like, where do values come from? It's like, well, do I have any way, like, is there any possible way for me to figure out like, what it comes down to is, like, is there any way for there to be shared values between multiple people that don't involve something higher than humanity as a whole. And it seems to me that without God in this role, like anything that humans can come up with is going to be arbitrary by definition. As in, like everything else is going to be chosen by humans. So like even if you think like, oh, it's natural in the universe to be this way, it's like, well, you've decided that that's important. And the kind of advantage of God in this scenario is that God is, you know, a person, at least in the Christian faith. And so, you know, in a sense, we outsource the arbitrary decision to God, but like, who better to outsource it to? I sure as hell would rather outsource it to God than, you know, to the latest World Economic Forum Committee. Or any other world governmental organization that is going to decide, you know, what the shared values are going to be. It's not just because of the current set of values they have, it's just in general. Wouldn't further understanding your own ideology also reveal those same flaws? Well, perhaps, but that's, well, if there are flaws, then if there are flaws, then surely I have to face that, right? Like, I can't. It's the way I go about things is I quite like to. Well, I quite like to. I don't even know if I like to. There's a certain like to it, but I can't stop myself from, you know, poking everything I don't understand. I poke with questions, and this absolutely includes myself and my own philosophy, or whatever the hell it is, the set of ideas loosely connected I have in my head, whatever the hell that qualifies as. It's like I keep, you know, I keep asking questions about it, and so if I decide to kind of proceed with things without resolving these issues, like sooner or later I'm going to have to make a decision that is going to be dependent upon me having that figured out. So I'm going to have to decide between, you know, thing A and thing B, and it comes down to this unresolved issue that underpins plenty of other things that lead to which one I choose. But then, you know, on the other hand of this comes the question of, like, can I even resolve this? Am I trying to, you know, am I trying to figure out the perfect solution to myself? Where, because I think that's what living in the moment, carpe diem, right? That's what that's what the competition to this idea is. It's like the counter to the idea of figuring out the counter to the idea of figuring out the world, how you think about it, what do you like, what do you do, what are the principles. The counter to that is kind of solving it as you go along, right? It's like you don't figure out a grand theory, you kind of figure out the theory as you go along on the examples that you are given in life. I think that's kind of the I am completely discounting I am discounting the people who use that as hedonism, because well I don't there's certain things I can, I think, safely discard without considering a particular anything to any particular depth. It's like I'm not interested in hedonism, just flat out. I'm not gonna give a lot of thought to that. The perfect solution to myself. I'm calling back to the previous idea of getting lost in abstraction. So it's like, you know, the perfect solution to myself would be to have an all perfectly organized personal philosophy. That, you know, it's like, okay, I figured out how to arrange all the answers to the questions. I figured out the value hierarchy. And as I'm saying this, I think this is exactly the kind of temptation of getting lost, and the actual questions I'm grappling with are more in the realm of figuring out the foundation. So it's like, how am I going? What solid foundation am I going to have that I'm then going to iterate upon as I go through life? Is probably the approach I should be taking. As I arrive at it, looking at the alternative being either being lost in trying to figure everything out before I make any moves, and then on the other hand, trying to figure nothing out and just, devolving into whatever I am currently feeling at the moment, dictating how I act, which is no better than an animal. Very disappointing pizza, 4 out of 10, would not buy again. Also, I'm still hungry. Well, the pizza presumably came in a box. You could eat that. Probably. Figured everything out before I make any moves. There's a happy medium. Yeah. I think so. But there's also the importance of figuring out the foundation to a reasonable degree. It's like, I definitely have a bunch of that, and I've gotten a lot of that from how I was raised. I don't know. There's also a certain, and this is gonna be a tangent, but there's also a certain, I don't know, imposter syndrome or inauthenticity to the whole mix. That is somewhere in there. It's like what the hell is actually real about me, which sounds pretentious as hell, but maybe that just comes from not enough experience in life. That is entirely possible. I have enough figured out to feel confident in my decisions, and I'm choosing to partner with being comfortable in mystery in order to move forward with action. It's a pretty good distillation of that. But with the caveat of I'm not actually sure, because I think the kind of the barometer for whether the statement is actually true or not is I don't necessarily like putting it like this, but I have it as a gut feeling of this is not done yet. It's like you need a bit more in the foundation before you move on to building things on the foundation. That's kind of what I'm struggling with now. I thought I had things figured out in a way that allows me to move forward, and I figured it's like, hold on, you are not quite there. There's a bit more work that needs to be done on the foundation before you can safely, place the next layer and not have it all collapse instantly. What if I'm just part of someone else's simulation, man? Like, whoa. It's tremendously unhelpful. There are people like that. Where is that voice coming from? That voice, I don't know, somewhere from somewhere inside. I've had the same. I have the same feeling when it comes to software solutions. When it comes to drawing, there's basically the same feeling. And the feeling is usually that there's something. I could qualify it in two ways. On one hand, it could be a kind of blockade that prevents me from venturing into the unknown. In a way, maybe fear of the unknown. And on the other hand, it could be also, how do I put it? It is also often a feeling of be careful about the change you are about to make. You are investing your time into changing something mostly superficial, but you haven't yet. There's a problem here that you need to solve that is going to make the changes you are about to make obsolete. That is what I've kind of over time learned that feeling to mean. it's there's I think it's basically two different things that result in the same or very similar feeling with it. Do you often find that feeling to be correct? Well, it actually depends, kind of. In terms of drawing, the gut feeling is usually on the money. So it's like usually I'm trying to rework some part of, I don't know, I would be like kind of here. I'm redoing the lines over and over in one part in one place because I don't feel they are. I feel there's something wrong with it, so I keep doing it. But I'm working on one place. But the feeling would tell me, if I had the feeling about this, the feeling would probably tell me it's like the entire anatomy of the pose is incorrect, and so no matter what changes you make to the little part you are currently doing over and over again, no matter what you do about it, it's going to feel wrong because the bigger picture is not correct. And in terms of drawing, that feeling has been generally pushing me to get better. And in programming, there's a lot more. There's also a lot more of being afraid of making changes because I'm not sure what implications they'll make, and because I am not particularly. I'm just risk avoidant by nature, so. It's also a feeling that kind of prevents me. Well, prevents me. It doesn't prevent me. It pushes me away from taking risks, and I have to push against it to take risks. But then, usually if I take the risk and the feeling persists, then there might be there is a sign that it might be something. There might be something more to it, and I should probably pay more attention to what is going on. It's like, I don't know if there's a satisfactory answer, but it's I call it rambling for a reason. I am just as much in the dark about this as anyone listening, so well, maybe not as much, but I am plenty in the dark myself when it comes to answers to these questions. It's definitely something I'm worried about giving too much credit to, because that feeling is certainly, if applied to like everything, every attempt at anything, it could very easily lead to stagnation, because it's a break on engaging with certain things, certain ideas, of trying certain concepts, something like that. If the feeling has serviced you in the past, then by all means, seemingly that is something along the lines of intuition approaching revelation. Perhaps I am still careful with it. I don't want to hand too much over to it. That I'd rather I use it as a marker, and I try to figure out what it's trying to tell me, which is, I think, something you would agree with, from what I've heard as an idea. It's like, like what is my intuition telling me about the situation I am in? It's like, and from experience I can tell, like, this feeling is usually one of these things, as you should be careful with it. Yeah, so it's like this feeling usually tells me this. It's like, is this applicable to the situation I'm currently in? Can I take it? And I'll always evaluate. It's like, oh, if it's making me feel I should do something, is that something in accordance with reality? Is that going to have good results from as far as I can, of course, tell in the moment, because I'm not omniscient. So my inner voice reminded me there was a jar of peanut butter in the cupboard. Congratulations, you now have something to season your box of what the pizza came in with. I hope you could even heat it in the oven. That I just really like the mental image of that meal. Like you pull it out of the oven. It's a heated cardboard box with like peanut butter on top of it. And then you just sink your teeth into this delicious delight. Delicious and delight probably have like similar word origins. I'd imagine etymology, I think, is the term. Doodle it. You know what? We can take a break from this and doodle something stupid. I'm down. I've moved the bar. Nothing will ever be the same. Um, actually, I'm just eating it with a spoon. Should I wash my box first? Well, surely if you don't wash the box, you get the additional, taste of the pizza that is on the box. Actually, you can make a sandwich out of it, surely, right? Because if you have a pizza box, it's kind of like this, right? You got the pizza box and it opens, like you know, you got the pizza box, right? So then you that's pretty bad. Something like this. There we go. That's a pizza box. Then you take it, peanut butter surely comes in jars like something like this, right? And then it's called Jif. Jif, right? That's the peanut butter, and then you put it there, and then you slam the lid, and then you toss it over into the microwave oven. I realized because I wonder, do you do you even have these analog ovens, microwaves with these like knobs, or do you or are like all ovens in America by now the ones with the like keyboard or something that you program? Genuinely curious. We have a one with knobs, and I don't know, maybe it's a poor thing, maybe it's just normal. I prefer the knobs, honestly. It's just simplicity. I fear the microwave with a computer inside is going to kill me in my sleep at some point. No, okay, this is what a microwave door looks like at a very low resolution, admittedly. This has no right to. I do casual drink on my microwave oven. Yeah, that's what. Why not do your why not make your favorite kitchen appliances be able to do basic tasks? Why not connect them to the internet? All that stuff, just do it. Like it's so beneficial. You can automate your life. I like how this guy's just looking at it like, what the hell are you doing, brother? And then, of course, we can't forget the final product of this. Actually, I'm drawing this with black, hopefully. Why not connect them to the internet? Shut up, Satan. I mean, you know what? I've never understood. I've never really understood the idea of like, oh yeah, my smart fridge connects to the internet and it can like order food automatically. And the more I learned about the like concept and the approach, is the less I understood it, and the more why would you do that? You're probably either evil or stupid if you talk about it in any kind of positive way. I'm thinking this is like a very you gotta have the GIF jar for scale. What do you think of this splendid meal I present upon you on the. Wait, you know what? We can add a bit more flavor to it by just, adding some smears of peanut butter to the sides of the box, like this. And it's like, you know, soggy paper. The new banana for scale. The thing is, I've never seen a GIF bar. A jar. I've I've never seen one. I assume it's normal scale, but you know what? America is supposedly bigger than everything else, so maybe your GIF jar is actually like ridiculous in size. Like if if you had a person for scale, like would be this size about. It's just you have to use a crane to load the pizza box into the microwave. I'm keeping this guy here. Yeah, I really want to connect my toilet paper dispenser to the Amazon cloud, so if I say the N word, I can't wipe my ass. You know what? That would be more funny if it wasn't uh, pretty much literally, um, pretty much literally what is happening. It's like, well, there was some guy. I've only read the headlines because I figured there's probably nothing inside of the any articles or videos about it that is important. But it's like some guy that got locked out of his smart home because he did some racism or something like that. It's like, what a wonderful future. I sure as hell can't wait for when smart homes are gonna be mandatory. That's uh that's certainly going to have nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's a normal size jar. Okay, I'll choose to believe you. Can you ask that voice questions? What voice? You mean like the internal voice I am constantly conversing with, whether it be out loud or in my head? Yes. I mean, I hardly distinguish between it and my own thinking because I just constantly talk to myself. like so I constantly, like, I ask questions and I answer them myself, of it, like in terms of whatever state I am in. I do go through it over and over again. I don't know if I really distinguish which voice is which maybe is a flaw in that. Maybe it's something to work on. His ring for bell disconnected because an Amazon delivery driver thought he called them the N. Wait, so like you show up to a guy's house to deliver a package, you overhear him saying something you consider to sound like the N word, and you get his fucking doorbell banned? How did we get here? I mean, I have plenty in terms of answers for how we got here, but as just an expression of absolute bewilderment, I say, how did we get here? But also on the other hand, it's like, how did you get to the point of installing something like that as your doorbell? It's like, is it really worth it? The convenience of, I don't know, unlocking your front door via a smartphone? Are you really sure you wanna have that as a possibility? It's like, are you sure do you wanna have Jeff Bezos decide whether or not you are allowed to open your front door? It seems to be somewhat unwise. I don't know. Maybe, perhaps I am just, perhaps I'm just very old-timey and out of date. It's like, or maybe I just, the best kind of cybersecurity is physical security. I'm pretty sure. Connect your shoelaces to the internet. Well, you know what? I am done with the tyranny of my preschool teacher telling me to tie my shoelaces. I'm going to invent an invention that is going to do them through the cloud, and nobody's gonna have to tie shoelaces ever again. Vote for me 2024. You are running out of it is what it is. Are you sure you wish to continue? you know, the version of that statement I've been kind of arriving at for myself that works for my brain is it is three question marks. It's just there's a certain level of comfort in just admitting to myself, it's like, what the hell do I know? At the end of the day, it's like it is. Fuck it, we're bold, perhaps, maybe. But it's like I just keep telling myself like to basically calm down about it, and despite it works for me, I have no doubt there's plenty of people for whom it is absolutely retarded, but it does help keep me sane to as sane as you can call a guy who keeps talking to himself over and over again. and laughing at things that are not very funny. But keep your hard drive in the microwave oven. You know what? I don't do microwaves destroy hard drives? I actually probably they do, because metal and in microwaves is not like particularly. It's not a pleasant combo to have to indulge in. It's, I don't know, I just keep landing like over and over again. I keep landing on like I'll be honest, I'm kind of retarded. I feel that quote. I feel that quote in deep in my bones. It's, I don't know. I just, wasn't there a philosopher that said like the only thing I know for sure is I know nothing? Something like that. I was probably misquoting, but I think I kind of get that guy. Like, but on the other hand, there's also plenty of things I do know. So you see, this is the eternal battle inside of my own head. Is the part of my head which insists on no, we do know something, and the other part which insists on well, but you have plenty of holes in it as well, and they kind of never agree. Can become less retarded by using turbo force, super male vitality or whatever. I'm absolutely not up to date with these products. I am not up to date with anything. I've long since chosen to just not be up to date with anything, and so as a consequence of that choice, I am not up to date with anything. And I frankly think it's benefiting me, because I've now, as much as I might be bitching about all this, thinking uncertainty and whatever, it's way better than dulling my own brain with social media, like watching YouTube forever. That Postinator has chosen not to have a personality outside of memeing on Stolly. I'll choose to believe that is actually a psyop, probably. I don't understand it, but I don't think I have to. I'll just maintain a safe distance, view it only through a welding glass. Make sure the world can't grind you down. You gotta expand your knowledge base. I don't know. Memeing? Exactly. Memes? Question mark. And you get the classic Stone Toss memes. Can you believe that there are people genuinely upset at people making Stone Toss edits? It's like the absolutely next level of being mad at the internet. This guy made a comic, and now other people who don't know what the original comic even is really are making edits, and I am mad. Could you imagine? No, that's surely transformative. I was about to go into a copyright tangent, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stop myself. Speaking of stopping myself, you know what? Don't be mad at the internet, exactly. it's I've been having a lot of fun applying the emergency brake lever idea. It's it I think it's a more like I would almost call it cartoony way to say certain things are just not worth thinking about. It's like it helps because I absolutely have a tendency to overanalyze things, as you might have noticed over the course of this rambling and previous ramblings and autism in whatever form I've engaged with before, not with. So the emergency brake lever, helps me stop myself from going and this person needs to touch grass is my emergency brake lever. Yeah, it has a nice bonus because it also insults the other guy, which is you can't underestimate the usefulness of making other people mad on the internet. This is something I've been debating. It's like I'm serious because I've been calling Twitter, or rather Twatter, for a while, but the change to X has got me thinking, because it seems like the people on Twitter are upset about it being called X, and therefore it makes me think I should probably start calling it X because it pisses off people on the Twitter. So as much as I don't like changing the name for no discernible reason, call them a cretin, recommend X to an acid iodine supplement. Yeah. It's, well, I don't know. I just refuse. I just don't engage. It's like, well, like, why would talking with people that you disagree with and that don't care about what you have to say on the internet seems to be one of the least productive ways to use your time. Like, the correct term is goblin. Surely by now somebody's already reclaimed the term goblin and it now means something positive. I bet you're gonna find that as soon as I start using it. It's like, well, all else you could be called racist, I suppose. There was that whole controversy. What absolutely insane what an absolutely insane idea that was. I don't know. There's certain ways, there's certain things which have absolutely broken through in my head and are fully in the clown world territory where I just don't care anymore and it's just funny. Like there's certain things I've kind of the way I'm kind of putting it is I don't actually care about the author's intent anymore. This is parody. Just even if you intended this sincerely, buddy, you've made a parody of yourself. Congratulations. Millions of pot-bellied goblins are hobbling around coming after us. That would never happen. That is a conspiracy theory, and you should, you should listen to your preferred mainstream media outlet of choice for the next 12 hours to repent for your horrible sins against the whatever the hell the whatever the hell you were supposed to adhere to, you didn't. So like, bad. I don't know this reference. I don't know any references, in fact. So yeah, you know what? I had a feeling this doing this stream would be a decent idea, and I think it was. I might even listen to it myself later and just to hear what it sounded like, what I was saying. It's like maybe make some notes from it as well, because this was this was absolutely a ramble It's like trying to just, you know, get as much out of my head onto, well, a canvas would be an abstract way to put it. It's like just you know, I'd like these things to be in a form that I can transform. I can take whatever, like I now have something I can take and you know, take notes on, transform and reference back and like evaluate, which is way better than having all of this just in my head, because when I have it in my head it easily mutates as I try to pin it down. So now I'm almost like, if I watch this back, I'm going to be interacting almost like with something that somebody else has made. And so I can, you know, because I don't have my brain saying it and evaluating it at the same time, I can more effectively evaluate it, is kind of what I'm getting at. So I'll be taking a good old look, listen, I think, to it at some point or another. I hate the sound of my own voice. That's how I know I'm real. Simulations would love their own voice. I've gotten used to mine, frankly, as I've started off not liking it, and then over time I've part of it was getting better at English, because it bothered me a lot the way I spoke English initially. I think it's way better now, as horrible as the English accent might be, or the pretend English accent, because I don't know what the hell this accent is. But the sound of, I don't know, maybe it's just a matter of accepting it. It's like, it's kind of accepted also that I'm never going to hear it the same way other people hear it. It's like, not just I'm not going to hear it how I hear it when I talk, as opposed to how it's recorded, but also like I'll never be able to replicate the experience of listening to my own voice for a person that isn't me, if that makes any sort of sense. Which I hope it kind of does, but it's like the experience is kind of irreplaceable or intransmissible. It's like kind of like thinking if other people see the color green the same way I see color green, right? Because we are perceiving the same kind of, you know, the same wavelength, but you know, there's a way your brain transforms it into, you know, an experience of color. Like you can't, like what we call the same color green, but there's fundamentally nothing I can do to figure out if the way I picture color green in my head isn't, you know, in your head it isn't what I picture as red. what a massive spaghetti ball of a sentence, but yeah. Yeah, you will always have the bias of hearing your voice in your head when listening to it recorded. Yeah. And you also, especially if you don't like your own voice, or maybe if you do like your own voice, you're gonna have probably, you know, and also because it's yours, you're probably going to pay attention to it in a much different way than people who are not you will pay attention to it. It's very similar with other works you create, like with drawings, for example. I'm pretty sure that I'm basically certain that people do not, like, the way I look at what I do and what I create is completely different from how somebody else who isn't me and who didn't create the thing looks at it. It's like I'll spot certain mistakes. I'll like aside from the normal, like, oh well, I like something and that other person doesn't like it, it's just a matter of taste. But also there's, you know, flaws I will see and nobody else will. There's neat things I'm going to see, but nobody else might appreciate. And just by the virtue of just how long I've been staring at whatever thing, because I've been working on it, so I've been looking at it for, you know, however long. So it's not, no, you no longer have the fresh experience of someone who saw something like once or twice ever. It's kind of why you know, often when drawing, a very useful key, M on the keyboard in this particular program, maybe in others, it mirrors the view. So this kind of gives you a kind of fresher perspective on whatever you are doing, because you are used to it being on one side. So when you flip it, you suddenly force your brain to reevaluate, and you might spot flaws you would otherwise not see, not notice. Another way would be you can rotate something. You know, just generally rotation, flipping, that kind of stuff usually helps with regard to, you know, seeing it in a new way and maybe spotting more mistakes, which is, well, not only, but it's not just spotting mistakes, because if I, you know, sometimes I want to have that feeling of just looking at something I've done from the perspective like I look at stuff other people have done. That often can also happen with time. It's like I can look back at things I've done a while back, and that, you know, the things I've done a while back, these things I'm gonna have, I'm not gonna remember the process vividly, and so, you know, there's a bit of that experience of, you know, I've forgotten a bunch of things. My knowledge of this is less, and then because of that, I now can see more of it. There's something horribly wrong with this shoulder, and yeah, there's something horribly wrong with the shoulder. Rather the shirt probably more than the shoulder itself. As a side note, it's probably something more like this. Yeah, that's better. Right, I'm thinking, because I've kind of rambled on and I've kind of run out of topics to talk about, I might turn the stream off. I'm thinking, because I don't. There's been some decent progress. I don't have a time lapse, but, you know, I was gonna be drawing this anyway, so I figured, you know what? I wanna ramble. I wanna talk. I wanna do things. I wanna draw at the same time. I'm just gonna turn on a stream and see what happens, and I think this was very productive, at the very least for me. If you've gotten something out of it, I am very glad. If not, then, you know, thank you for, well, anyway, thank you for sticking by and listening to my personal flavor of insanity. And yeah, thank you very much for sticking with me for an hour and a half. I appreciate it a lot. You know, it's very nice to have someone in the chat to kind of talk to and bounce ideas off of. I can't overstate how important that is and how useful it is to have someone who you can actually engage with and who will engage in good faith, and, you know, who will respond to the ideas. I wonder. Okay, I hope that chat didn't actually just crash on me, because it might as well have. Oh, yeah, I think it has. Yeah, okay, refresh. If you want more of my thoughts on peanut butter, just shout. Community is indeed good, always a pleasure. Alright, so thank you very much. I shall click the button. When I finish this, which is probably going to happen over time, I'm just, maybe I'll pop it on another stream. I've basically, what I think I'll be doing is I might just, you know, throw random streams like this whenever I feel like, oh, I'm gonna be drawing and I'm gonna be talking, or whatever. Whenever I feel like talking, I might just throw on a stream and talk. It's basically, if I have the time, it's kind of what I'm thinking of doing in the future. I'll see what happens. Anyway, I would say good night, but it's not good night for you because it's like afternoon. So good. Have a nice rest of your what? Have you considered screaming into the abyss? This is basically what I'm doing, except there's two people with me in the abyss, so you know, it feels a little bit better. I can even pretend I'm screaming at two people instead of screaming into the abyss directly. So anyway, see you next time whenever the hell I figure to toss something in a channel or talk on another stream or whatever the hell happens. Bye. Shit, OBS, yeah.